all systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on, Shipping Nation YouTube station? I'm back in the saddle, not on Friday, on a Monday with my guy Ham. Ham coming off a grind of a NBA season. Obviously, the last week of the regular season going on. Someone told me NBA still exists, so it's still going on apparently. News to myself. The Bucks are trash, and I don't like the NBA grind. But hey, we got baseball. Baseball's in full swing here. We're a couple weeks into the season. We got another Coors Field slate. Ham, we're on the bookends, right? Monday, Friday. I know Monday usually it's going to be me and Bellman, and you and I on Fridays like last year. But hey, nice to have you on this Monday. What's going on, brother?
Yeah, what's going on? First MLB show of the year. We love MLB over here, and we've just been absolutely on fire in the MLB streets. A $100,000 winner, two of them with Rio, and then Shalhoub, I think, with $50K actually on fire. Another Coors slate, the Astros chalk once again. They played in Coors Field 2.0 over the weekend. Now they go to the real Coors Field. So looking forward to breaking this one all down. Got our guy Chris Sale on the bump as well, so should be a good one.
Yeah, should be a good one. We got Steven in here early, Benny Hanna. We got some PGA folks trailing in as, hey, it's Masters week, baby. They're going to try and get those satellites there. So a lot of nice satellites for the Masters, obviously teeing off on Thursday. What a week of sports. I got the national championship tonight. Go UConn. I win my bracket pool. If UConn wins, everybody else near me has Michigan. So let's go UConn. Get me a little one stack in the pocket. That'd be a little nice. I got Newens in here. Warren Tyler, Philly Phantom, Jason Turner, Ricky Rose, Jacob Stubbs, Philly Phantom again. Jake Swales, what's up, Jake? Warren Tyler. We got our guy Bellman in here, my usual Monday partner in crime. Starting next week Monday. Jay Steele in here, Stoners in here. Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, helps us out a ton. Yeah, Nika's back in the chat. We love to see some familiar faces, some new faces. We're gonna break it all down. We're gonna do our normal kind of breakdown here. What was that?
I was gonna say, my guy P-Chan, DJ, and Stoner. I think about you all the time. I grew the stash out over the off season, but man, you only show up for baseball season. You got to check us out during the winter when it's cold. Ham gets cold. He throws on that beard, throws on that mustache. My guy Nate's was rocking a mustache forever as well. So come on, Pojen, DJ, and Stoner. You got to show up more. But we love to have you here during the baseball season.
I got Kenny tuning in. What's up, Kenny? Yeah, I'll have to quit trimming the old stash and get it brewing, right? So we can get the old brooms out on Friday, right? The old ride, right? The old everybody loves to have some fun ride, right? There. So no, let's go ahead and pull up our partner over at SaberSim. I got the dry run here up on the screen. We got 7 games. Again, Coors Field. Most of the lineups are in. We're still waiting on the Chalk Dodger or the Chalk Donkeys there in Houston to release their lineup, and then obviously the 2 West Coast games out there in Anaheim and San Francisco, the old Bay Area, right, to release their lineups there. But yeah, you alluded to it. We're going to start pitching, then we're going to go game by game, showcasing our premium tool, the Stone, over at shipitnation.com. We got Chris Sale on the mound in a pretty solid matchup, right? Angels, one of the highest strikeout teams in the league. Again, this year, I expect it to be kind of the same. Jacob deGrom, pretty healthy. Actually, probably the healthiest we've seen Jacob deGrom in quite some time. He's at $9K, $700 discount off of Chris Sale. And then you got Joe Ryan. As you see there, the exposure is just projected score between an average of projections and ownership. Those 3 coming in about 90 teams apiece in 150 sets, so about 60% between those 3, and then it drops off a cliff. But go ahead, Ham. I'll throw it over to you right away. You got 8K and above. Scherzer all the way up to Chris Sale. Definitely, obviously, hit on the big 3, Sale, deGrom, Joe Ryan, and then Logan Gilbert sandwiched between Sale and deGrom. I don't really expect him to be 27%, as you saw, right? We're only getting about 10 to 12% in terms of dry run. So naturally, projections run the DFS landscape, regardless of if I think projections are meaningful or not in MLB. It's just the nature of how the ownership gets dictated, right? Everyone uses optimizers. They build their teams that way for the most part. Shout out to the hand builders out there still doing their thing, but projections do drive ownership in this industry. I just don't expect Gilbert to be anywhere near 27, 25%. I think probably 15% max, 15 to 20% max, just because he doesn't hit projections there. So hit on those three guys, Ryan, Gilbert, or Ryan, DeGrom, and Sale, and then any pivots you like, Gilbert, Painter, Max Scherzer down at the bottom, 8K and above.
Yeah, but before I do that, I got to address my boy Newens in the chat. Newen, man, I love seeing you. That came out wrong. I'm not constantly thinking about poaching DJ Stoner, but he did come into my mind. So Newens, we appreciate you for sure. Always love having you in here. I know Nades loves having some fellow Wisconsinites in the house with him. So yeah, appreciate Newens and everybody tuning in as always. But for me, Nades, I'm not gonna get different up at the top because Chris Sale, by far and away, slam dunk SP1 for me on the slate. You alluded to it earlier. This Angels team strikes out a whole bunch. And if Trout misses, I don't think I've seen it a lot, but if Trout were to miss, that just waters down this lineup even more. So give me Chris Sale. He would be my SP number one. And then I personally like Logan Gilbert. I'll say struggled a little bit to start the season, but roughly a 30% strikeout rate to both sides of the plate. Using last year's data and the first two games this year. So I do like Logan Gilbert. DeGrom would be number 3 for me at 9K. He threw, I believe, 77 pitches his first start. You said it a minute ago, the healthiest he's been all season long. And then I'm out on Scherzer just because he's facing the Dodgers. We know what they can do. Joe Ryan. I think the case for Joe Ryan is the weather in Minnesota hasn't been the best. So it will be tougher for that ball to travel. So I don't hate him in GPPs. I think he'll get the ownership because he is only 8,200. And then Painter, I know you like Painter a little bit, 8,500. I think he had 7 Ks his first time out. Gets to take on this San Fran team that's really struggled at the plate to start the season, on top of the fact that we know the ball doesn't travel there, especially in cold weather and at night. So I don't hate Painter, but it would be the top 3 for me, price-wise: Sale, Gilbert, DeGrom, in that order, and it's going to be reflected in the DraftKings pricing.
Yeah, I like a lot of what he said. I have no issues with Chris Sale out there. Outside of it is probably outside of Coors, the best place to hit. But even if Chris Sale gives up a home run or two, I mean, he's got a 7.5K prop with heavy juice to the over. I mean, it's sitting at like minus 160 juice on the over of a 7.5. Obviously, all the strikeouts in that Angels lineup. You're chasing strikeouts in terms of MLB DFS. That's what you want. You're not really expecting pitchers to go out there and get you a complete game shutout, not give up any runs, things like that. So Chris Sale, SP1 on the slate. If you can get up to him, it's pretty easy to get up to him. I like him a ton. Jacob DeGrom, not much more to say about him. Mariners, yeah, they have a lot of power. The roof is going to be open in Texas, which does scare me a little bit there. But again, I mean, it's just, even if he gives up some home run or two to guys like Cal Raleigh or that, maybe he Texas has some Joe Adell like figures out there in the outfield to rob some of those Seattle home runs again. I know that was crazy. Joe Adell robbing the Mariners of 3 home runs there. But for me, I think the 2 guys I like a ton up here, besides the obvious 3, Sale, Gilbert, and Joe Ryan, there's nothing really bad to say about those 3. I think they're all interesting. I don't mind some Tigers lefties just to hit those splits against Joe Ryan. I do put Joe Ryan 3rd behind Chris Sale and Jacob DeGrom, but I really like Logan Gilbert and Andrew Painter. I think Painter's a good pitcher. He's got the best park on the slate to pitch in. Nobody's going to play him. I mean, the dude's going to be 15% owned. I think he's one of the best starting pitcher plays on the slate. I'm not really afraid of the Giants offense. It's the Bay Area out there. It's a great pitcher's ballpark. He looked really good in his first start. There's still some unknowns, obviously, with him there, but from a pitch count concern, there should be no pitch count concerns. He's going to be right there in line with the rest of the guys on the slate. His K prop isn't what the rest of the guys are, but again, that's what's going to keep his ownership down. He's sitting at a 4.5 K prop, which I'm a believer in his talent. At the ownership at 8,500, sandwiched between DeGrom and Joe Ryan. Nobody's going to play him. I like him quite a bit in tournaments. And the same reason I talked about Logan Gilbert, no one's going to play him. He's sandwiched between Chris Sale and Jacob deGrom, just like Painter sandwiched between Ryan and deGrom. So in tournaments, I really like Logan Gilbert. He's going severely overlooked in tournaments here. Texas is kind of a pesky lineup at times, but there's still strikeouts to be had in there. He's got a 6.5K prop with basically kind of a even money on. It's slightly favored to the under at plus 110. But again, I think Logan Gilbert's really interesting. So if I had to rank this top range with ownership included, everything like that, I'd probably go Andrew Painter, Chris Sale, deGrom, Gilbert, then Joe Ryan. I'm out of Max Scherzer. I'm not playing any Max Scherzer here tonight. I don't care. I'm not going up against he's very vulnerable to the lefties. Got some of the best left-handed hitters in baseball with the Dodgers there. So no Max Scherzer for me. Let's jump down below 8K here. A couple guys I want to throw out. Jose Soriano. I think he's fairly interesting. Casey Mize. And then you got to talk about Cody Bolton down at 4K flat. Gets one of the best matchups in baseball. But man, I just don't think this dude's a very good pitcher in general. He can get wonky. I actually like the Rockies offense on the other side there, but Bolton at 4K is going to be pretty popular because it allows you to play Dodgers and it allows you to play Houston Astros, who are all priced up. So the chalk pairing is going to be a Chris Sale, a Jacob deGrom, and then Cody Bolton for the most part from what I'm looking at here. I'm not playing any Bolton. I'm just going to say it right now, 4K. I don't care. If he beats me, he beats me. I think you're going to need a score at pitcher tonight with Gilbert, with Sale, with deGrom, with Painter, with Ryan, with Casey Mize, with guys like Jose Soriano, who has upside. I think two of those guys are going to post a have to have it score that I just don't want to mess with the 4K guy. And I'm under on the Astros in general anyway, so I can get different enough and find salary from the bats to afford some of the spend up arms on the slate. But talk about the value tier on the slate.
Yeah, I think these pitchers, sub 8K are in a good spot. I differ with you a little bit on my boy. I'll call him Michael Bolton for the Astros. Threw 50 pitches his first time out, 3 innings. I mean, if we were to get 5 innings out of him, we know that he more than likely would get the win. We know if he is going 5 innings, then he's pitching pretty well. So with the K upside, he had 5 Ks in 3 innings his first outing. I don't hate it. I get your point though. You may need 20 in this type of on this type of slate, but at 4K, Bolton allows you to do so much. I'm not going to be jamming him in, but certainly don't hate it if you got there. You mentioned Casey Mize at 7,700. I like that, taking on this Twins team. I talked a little bit about the weather. He struck out 23, almost 24% of the left-handed batters last year that he faced, and he's facing 6 of them tonight. So if he can maneuver around Byron Buxton, I think he'll do pretty good. So I like Mize at 7,700. And then one name that I would just say, interested to hear what you think about this guy, this Justin Robleski guy. Struggled in his first outing, only throwing 4 innings, but he did strike out 27% of batters from the left-handed and right-handed side last year. We know the Jays are going to be heavy right-handed facing a lefty. Threw 60 pitches in his first outing. Once again, if he can throw 5 or 6 innings and potentially get that win, I think at 5,800, Robleski's not the worst play on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather play him just with how bad Toronto's been than play Bolton. Just Bolton has severe control issues. Yeah, he's going to have strikeouts in that Rockies lineup. Yeah, if he is perfect and navigates and gets by everything and kind of skates through 5 innings and pick up 4 or 5 strikeouts, yeah, I'm probably going to lose money. But I just don't see that in Coors Field, which is a plus to not necessarily home runs, but just extra base hits, things like that. And when you start getting wonky at times as well and have probably a 65 pitch count ceiling, I'm just not in on it. And it's similar reason that I don't really like Robleski is the dude, he threw 60 pitches in 4 innings first outing. Maybe he gets to 75 pitches, 70 pitches, but Dave Roberts just doesn't like to let his pitchers. This guy is not a starter for the Dodgers in the long run. He came out of the bullpen last year. I expect him to kind of be more of a setup man or more of kind of a high leverage arm and maybe potentially at the back half of the season go back to the bullpen. So I just don't love it. I want 20 plus from my pitcher here tonight. Could Robleski do it? Yeah, it's just the Jays are just a nightmare matchup. I get it. They haven't been great as of late, but they still don't strike out. I mean, they're at an 18% strikeout rate against left-handed pitching between this year and last year. It's just a miserable matchup. So he has to be near perfect, and I don't like banking on perfection personally myself when I'm picking pitchers. When I got real pitchers like a Casey Mize I can play, and I'd rather go to a guy like Jose Soriano at home there, who is a turbo ground baller guy, can skate his way through and pick up strikeouts along the way. There is some strikeouts in that Braves lineup to be had there. He's at a 4.5K prop, juice to the over there. So for me, my pitching pool would kind of look like this: Sale, Gilbert, DeGrom, Painter, Ryan, Mize, Soriano. I'm not really looking at anyone else. That's seven pitchers there. So 50% of the slate I'm in on, 50% of the slate I'm out on, and I'll make some more cuts there in terms of matching the field on some of these guys and going overweight on some of the other guys I talked about there. So any closing remarks from the pitchers before we jump over? I know we got a question in the chat here from our guy Robert. And first, before we do that, shout out to our guy, Mr. Stoner, right? With the $2 super chat there, or the $2 comment. You don't need to do that, but he says, for the cannabis and the snacks fund, I'll definitely be partaking in some gummy season in a little bit there. So I appreciate that. But if you had two favorite pitchers for single entry, what are you looking at here?
Yeah. I'm going to go Sale for sure. And then I'm going to go Mize at 7,700. I really like Mize tonight. It's kind of I'm not going to call him a sleeper, but a guy that's going to be lower owned than maybe some of the others in the field. Yeah.
Mize is definitely going to be lower owned because, like I said, if people are going down, I mean, it's much easier just to click a guy like Joe Ryan at 8,200 than mess with Casey Mize, right? But I'm with you. I like Casey Mize a ton, and then I probably like either like a Andrew Painter or Chris Sale as my other guy there. So we're pretty in lockstep there. I'm just kind of planting the flag on Andrew Painter here tonight myself personally. I'm just a believer in him. I think there's strikeouts in that Giants lineup. It's a good pitcher's ballpark. I just like everything there, and it's not great hitting environment, which is per usual this time of the year out there in the West Coast. Let me refresh the stone here and pull up the stone when we talk game by game. First game on the slate, we do have Mr. Max Scherzer, Justin Robleski on the mound. Blue Jays have been pretty miserable, but again, still a ton of power, still a really, really good lineup. World Series rematch here. Obviously, Dodgers got the better hand, as everyone saw in that Game 7 there, but really excited from a baseball perspective for this game. And even from a DFS perspective, I think the Dodgers are pretty interesting here. Now, they're going to be popular. You want the lefties against Max Scherzer. Do I want to full stack the Dodgers? I'm not sure, because the guys I want are Kyle Tucker, Ohtani, Freeman. Muncy's cheap. Alex Freeland down there is cheap too. But the guys at the top are expensive, and I already want to prioritize pitching. I do have the Dodgers as probably one of my favorite offenses on the slate. Like I said, I don't really like Houston much as chalk in Coors Field there. But what do you see here up in Rogers Center Dome, up in Toronto, Max Scherzer, Justin Robleski on the mound?
Yeah, what was it? A 3-run lead like in the 7th or 8th last year, and my dadgum Jays blew it, man. That was brutal. But not my Jays, but I definitely didn't want the Dodgers. Yeah, I think you said it, but you can't full stack this Dodgers team. It's just not worth it. Its prices are too expensive. Ohtani, obviously a great play, but not full stacking them. More minis for me on the Dodgers side, and Ohtani bats left-handed, but that's neither here nor there. But on the Jays side, I don't love a Jays stack either. I mean, it's super, super duper small sample, but Vladimir looks pretty good at home versus lefties. And he's obviously a good play. 58 is kind of high. It'd be more one-offs for both of these teams for me, with Springer, Schneider, and Guerrero as the one-offs, and then Ohtani and potentially Kyle Tucker for the Dodgers.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I love the Dodgers lefties, and it is interesting to note, obviously it's a limited sample, right, in terms of this season numbers, but the Blue Jays bullpen has not been good. And the Dodgers bullpen is been good. And obviously we know Robleski can get the quick hook. Dave Roberts out there, and then they can play the platoons and this and that out of the bullpen. And they do have a really good bullpen. Obviously, Mr. LA Dodgers bought by World Series rings over there with their unlimited bankroll. But I'm in on the Dodgers all the way around. I like them a lot. Blue Jays are more like one-offs in a chalkier lineup. playing a guy like Vlad Guerrero or Okamoto. I'm a buyer in him at third base at 4,200 as a pivot off of some of those Astros, right? Carlos Correa, 4,600. He's going to be 6 times the ownership a guy like Okamoto is. And Okamoto, Japanese guy, 4,200, tons of power. Lefty, you got the platoon advantage there. Guys like Vlad, Springer, these guys aren't going to get played because if people are spreading up in those price points, they're going to Ohtani, Kyle Tucker, or those Astros, right? So I think the Blue Jays are interesting in tournaments just because Robleski can get hit, and it's more of just like a mini stack like I talked about. So some of those guys would be the Vlads, the Springers, the Okamotos of the world as pivots off of the Dodgers spend-ups or more so off of the Astros. Next game on the slate, White Sox and Orioles. Fetty Wap's going to be the long reliever here. They're going to go with an opener. So I know some people are probably going to say, hey, Fetty's not starting the game. He's likely to come in after the first inning. He's not very good. The O's haven't been very good. O's have a ton of power on paper. You would look at this lineup and say they're a damn good baseball team. Haven't come to fruition last year. Hasn't been the case so far this year, but hey, call me stupid. I'm backing on the Orioles here. They're going to be lower owned than the Dodgers and the Astros here, and probably even maybe potentially the Rockies. I like the O's quite a bit here. Full 9 at bats against the terrible bullpen, the worst bullpen to date on the slate that we have, even worse than the Rockies here. What do you see, Orioles and White Sox here?
Yeah, we need to get Jackson Holiday back for sure for them, and then my boy Ryan O'Hearn. My boy Ryan O'Hearn leaves the Orioles and just goes for about 40 points yesterday. So yeah, on paper, this Orioles team, picked up Taylor Ward in the offseason, Pete Alonso in the offseason. They just haven't been very good, but I do like them today. Pretty much 1 through 8 I'm okay with. So Orioles stacks definitely in play. They are going to be popular. Then I've seen a couple people in chat talk about this White Sox stack. Brandon Young, not a very good professional pitcher or major league caliber pitcher. So for me, I don't mind the White Sox. It would be more minis than it would full stacks. Colson Montgomery went grand slam, I think, on opening day. I like him. I like the first baseman. I can't pronounce his name. I'll let you pronounce his name, but batting second tonight, Murayakami. I like him as well, however you say his name. So give me these lefty minis, and then give me this whole Orioles team 1 through 8. I don't mind stacking. Yeah,
Young is trash against lefties. Has basically the same K rate and walk rate to left-handed hitters. I think Murakami is one of the best plays on the slate. First base, everyone's going to go to Ohtani, Freddie Freeman's, Christian Walker's of the world. Murakami, I think, is a really, really good option. Baltimore bullpen is not great. So I really like the lefty, more so minis or get into full stacks kind of in large field, 20 max type stuff of the White Sox. They're super cheap. I want to spend up at pitching. So I'll probably have some 5-man White Sox stacks just because it allows you to spend up at pitching and be different than what kind of the common roster construction is. So I think Murakami and Montgomery are my 2 favorite bats by far for the White Sox. You got a really nice 2 4-man stack there at 4K, 4,400. Not many people are going to go to them. They're both going to be 5% owned. So I actually like both sides of this game. I wish the hitting weather was a little bit better, but that's just the nature of the slate. Outside of Coors Field, just due to the nature of the elevation there, it's pretty shitty weather across the board. So you can't really use weather as a deciding factor here tonight. If there is some slight wind blowing out, but again, it's temperatures in the 40s. It's just the nature of the slate. So I like both sides here. It's pretty slim pickings in terms of offense here tonight, outside of Coors Field, obviously, that everyone's going to condense around. Next game on the slate here, Casey Mize, Joe Ryan, 2 of the better pitcher plays on the slate. If I were to pick a side in this one, it'd be more so on the Tigers and those lefties to pick off a home run or 2 against a guy like Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan can easily strike out 8 of these guys, give up 2 home runs. And if you hit the 2 home runs, they're going to be unowned. Tigers do have some good lefties. Obviously, Colt Keith is a pinch hit concern there, but he's fine at 3,700. Riley Green, obviously a really good option. McGonigal. There is no Kerry Bonds in the lineup, which does suck, but you get a guy like Parker Meadows at 2,800. Nobody's going to play. If he gets on, he's going to steal second. He's got power. So I like the lefties here for the Tigers as a value in non-Joe Ryan. And Joe Ryan might come in as the highest owned pitcher on the slate due to his $8,200 price tag, at least projected ownership, shows him up near 40% that we got him at. So I think the Tigers as a low-owned sleeper stack in tournaments, with offense being pretty weak in general outside of Coors Field and the Dodgers that people are condensing around, I think the Tigers are fairly interesting in larger field stuff. What do you see here? Tigers and Twins.
I'm seeing, Nades, you may wake up from your gummy beret. It could be snowing in Minnesota. It's projected to be 32 degrees. This game is not going to be on the winner, in my humble opinion. I wouldn't play the offenses, and Stoner did bring up a good point, is Joe Ryan is actually, I think it's $500 less than Mize. Mize is up to $9,600 on FanDuel. So to me, Mize is a better play on DraftKings, not so much FanDuel for all my FanDuel players out there. Ryan actually goes up a little bit because he's only 9,100 on FanDuel. I think this game plays, 3-2, 4-2, something like that. I don't like either one of these offenses. If you wanted to cherry pick some guy to hit a bomb, then you can, but I'm not stacking either one of these teams.
Yeah, I just think the Twins bullpen is trash. And these guys, Tigers, I think offense, again, is going to be at a premium. I get the weather's shitty, but the weather's shitty everywhere on this slate. And unless it's shitty ballparks out west or Coors Field, right? So I'm looking at guys that can get there outside of the long ball, right? I can get the poor man's home run, get a single, get a walk, steal second, get a run score, right? Okay, well, now you're looking at 8 to 10 DraftKings points there and one at bat, right? You're 4 points away from a home run. So that's why guys like Parker Meadows that can steal, Kevin McGonigal, right? Those kind of guys that are just going to put the ball in play. Yeah, Joe Ryan's good, but the Twins bullpen is ass behind them. So yeah, not my favorite game. I'm probably not going to full stack either of these teams due to that weather, but I do think the Tigers are fairly interesting. Byron Buxton is a one-off. I think is solid, but I'm more on Casey Mize in this one. Next game on the slate, Mariners, Rangers. Jacob deGrom, Logan Gilbert. This should be a pretty good pitchers duel here. The roof is going to be open in Globe Life Field there, which does get a slight boost to hitting. Obviously, the Mariners have enough power to hit it out of any stadium at any point. Cal Raleigh still trying to find his first home run of the year after going absolutely bonkers last year. Shout out to Joe Adell for keeping him at a 0 home run. Luke Raleigh, Dominic Canzone. I mean, these lefties are fairly interesting, but I'm more on the pitching in this game. I don't really like offense much here, but what do you see, Texas and Seattle?
Yeah, that was pretty incredible. What's your take? Speaking of which, I've seen a lot of chatter. Joe Adell catches the ball, falls into the stands. Should that be a home run to you?
I don't know. That's a tough. If you catch it in play and carry it out of play, right? It's the runner's advance, right? So I don't know how that works. I don't think it's a home run because he made contact with the ball in play. Right, it's just like if someone made a diving play over the fence or something like that, right? I'd call it an out. I don't know. That's a tough one there. But yeah, Joe Adell. That'll probably never be done again. Rob 3 home runs in the game, period, let alone from the same player in the same game is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, that was pretty crazy to see Joe Adell there. But what do you see offense here, Mariners and Rangers?
Yeah, that was bonkers. Yeah, I don't see how you could play the Mariners. They've been struggling. Jacob deGrom is Jacob deGrom, and Logan Gilbert has struggled. I'll say struggled a little bit to start the season, but two of the more highly projected pitchers. Another game, it's indoors, so you got to like that a little bit. But these pitchers, I think there's better pitchers to pick on than in this game. And this, my boy's back. My boy's back. Jock Jams is back again. Nate, we get another year of Jock Pederson's 222 batting average on the season, probably -0 home runs. Oh man, it's going to be a long season for the Rangers if they're employing that bomb. So yeah, no offenses here. Give me both of these pitchers.
Yeah, two of the better bullpens year to date. So I just two good starting pitchers, two of the better bullpens. I know offense is hard to come by, but it's just if either of these teams nukes, shout out to the 150 maxers or the super contrarian players. It's just not something I'm going to be in on much. I will say, though, Corey Seager at 4,400, again, pivot off of Carlos Correa. Obviously, Corey Seager is a good play. The lefties here for the Rangers would be fairly interesting, but not a spot where I'm really stacking up offense too much. Do have a slight lean to the Rangers if picking between the Mariners or the Rangers here. Takes us to the donkey chalk of the slates. Astros and the Rockies in Coors Field. I mean, at least Feltner does have a pulse, I will say. Of anyone to have a pulse from a starting pitcher of the Rockies organization, I don't think Feltner is the worst by any means. He's probably their best pitcher that they have to employ out there and throw out there. The Astros been ripping the cover off the baseball. Now they head into Coors Field, and you got guys like Loperfido projected in here, Cam Smith. These guys are sub 4K in Coors Field, where offense is at a premium on a slate that's shortened slate in general, because DraftKings leaves off all the early games, which are usually the better offenses. But talk to me here. Astros, Rockies, Coors Field, Bolton, Feltner on the mound. This game should have fireworks. I have much more of a lean to one side that's not named Houston Astros, but what do you see here?
My guy Greg knows what's up. You see that, Nades?
I do. I do. Until you're forgetting the second part of our guy, rest in peace, Degen, big guy in the sky. But he says we don't play donkey chonk until we do, or right. So I mean, if you want to play the Astros are obviously in all likelihood the probably highest chance to be the highest scoring stack of the slate. It's just the nature of it. I would much rather just play Jordan as a one-off and just fade the rest of the Astros. Personally, is how I like it. I mean, Jordan's up there with Kyle Tucker and Ohtani is the best play on the slate. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stack the Astros here. Personally, you're going to have to hit it perfectly. That's just how you're going to have to. People are going to go in and run 60, 70, 80% Houston stacks just because offense, there's really not many pivots on the slate. So, but talk to me here. What do you see Astros Rockies?
I just want the Astros to not score runs, so my guy Shalhoub can be in the chat about the second inning just going crazy. So my guy Shalhoub, if you're listening, go ham in the chat tonight. But yeah, the definitely going to be Donkey Chalk, definitely RIP DGen. I see that in there. But yeah, I mean, I think if you're playing, 10 plus Astros team, you're going to want at least a piece of it, just based on the fact that they are in Coors Field. They're taking on some guy named Ryan Feltner, who hasn't been very good. So yeah, Jordan is always in a good spot. Altuve, every time you say Christian Walker, it takes me back to one of my favorite movies. Hey, Mr. Walker. I think we've talked about it before, but I think this Astros team implied to score over 6 runs, which is way more than anybody else on the slate. I think for single entry, they're fine to fade 3 max. You may want them on 1 of 3, but you're going to want a piece of them, in my opinion, if you're playing, a bevy of teams. And then on the Rocky side, yeah, this Michael Bolton guy, not great by any stretch of the imagination. That's why he's $4,000. Probably not going to go more than 3 or 4 innings, but he can rack up the Ks. This is still the Colorado Rockies after all. Some guy named TJ Rumfield, who no one's ever heard of, is batting 5th. Troy Johnston is batting cleanup, a guy I've never heard of. So man, this Bolton guy keeps looking better and better. I'm fading this Rockies team, playing the Astros if I'm playing 3 or more teams.
Yeah, can't really fault that. You really, I mean, Feltner is a ground ball pitcher. The Astros don't hit the ball in the air outside of Jordan Alvarez and Christian Walker. So those are by far and away the 2 best plays from the Astros. The only guy I'll really be playing is Alvarez. You want lefties against Feltner as well, which obviously is pretty tough. That's why you see Loperfido being in that lineup. The Astros lineup did just come out. Some of these guys are shuffled around a little bit, like Altuve's hitting 3rd, Correa's hitting 4, Cam Smith's hitting above Loperfido. But these guys are all in here. Only 2 lefties in there. So yeah, I'm off the Astros. I'll let you play them and Cody Bolton, and I'll play Jordan and stack the Rockies side of this game. I like Moniak, Troy Johnston, Rumfield. I like all these guys. These lefty power bats against a guy who is horrible against lefties. The Astros bullpen has not been good to start the year. The Angels put up a fuck ton of runs in their opening season. They just used 5 relievers yesterday, Sunday night, or in that Sunday game. So they're pretty taxed. I mean, they have all but one of their guys has thrown 23 or more pitches in the last 3 days. So they are pretty taxed. I get it. It's still the Astros, but they have a starting pitcher who has a pitch count ceiling of probably 65 pitches, right? So they're going to have to, I mean, I'm expecting 6 innings probably, or not 6 innings, probably 5 innings or 4 to 5 innings at least of the bullpen here. So yeah, there is some pitch concerns, but again, the Rockies bench is not like a normal team's bench. They can't pinch hit all of these lefties here. So I think McCarthy's great. Moniak's great. Julian's probably the biggest pinch hit concern of any of these guys, but Troy Johnston, Rumfield, I really like the lefties. Willie Castro, great option too. He's got some stolen base. So yeah, I'm Team Rockies here. Rockies one of my favorite stacks of the slate, and I'm going in on them. And then Jordan is probably the only bat that from the Astros that I'm going to really play much of any of them personally myself. Next game on the slate, last two games, we go out to the night slate window. 9:38 Central Time start or Eastern Time start, 8:38 Central Time. Braves, Angels, Jose Soriano, ground ball pitcher. Chris Sale, best pitcher on the slate, highest upside, highest K prop, everything. As you see here, Angels 41% K rate on the season at home against left-handed pitching. Checks my notes. Yeah, that's probably that's not very good. And Chris Sale obviously has elite strikeout stuff. Tournaments, if you want to hold your note, plug your nose and play Angel stack, good luck. You can do it. Zach Neto would be the only guy. Mike Trout's not in the lineup here, which makes Chris Sale be that much of a better play. So it is probably Chris Sale's the highest owned guy, but he's going to be right there with Joe Ryan contesting each other. What do you see here, Braves and Angels?
Yeah, no Angels for me. Take them out of your pool. Love Chris Sale tonight. And then the Braves, more minis for me. One of my favorite hitters on the slate, though, is going to be my boy, Austin 316, Austin Riley. We have him batting cleanup. He's been batting fifth most of the year. I think he has like one hit on the season. I think that changes tonight. Really like Austin Riley in this Braves lineup tonight.
Yeah, I had more interest in the Braves until I looked at the ownership here. I think people are going to go to them, which is always fine, right? Anytime you're playing the Angels, it is plus a hitting environment there. The Angels bullpen is ass, but Jose Soriano is not a bad pitcher by any means. He keeps the ball on the ground, so it's going to take a lot of like old school small style baseball to score a ton of runs here. Now, I'm definitely going to have both sides of this in my 20 max set, play Braves and play Soriano, but I still prefer the Rockies to the Braves at similar price points. As crazy as that sounds, I will say Drake Baldwin's probably one of the best plays on the slate. That dude is straight hitting beach balls right now. Matt Olson, great option, and Yastrzemski. So I like the lefty power and the balls that the guys that can hit the ball in the air to kind of counteract Jose Soriano's fly or ground ball rate. So that's Yastrzemski, Riley, Olson, Albies, Dom Smith are kind of the main fly ball hitters on this team. Obviously Acuna, but Acuna also hits the ball on the ground a ton too, nearly 50% of the time. So yeah, pretty similar there. Zach Neto, probably the only Angels bat that I like, and maybe Joe Adele, just because maybe he'll go from robbing 3 home runs to hitting 3 home runs or hitting a home run or 2 there. So he'd be fine. But really, Zach Neto is kind of the only guy I'm looking there. Joe Adele just hits left-handed pitching really well and has a ton of power. It's plus hitting environment there. So yeah, you could leave a couple of those Angels bats as one-offs in there against probably the chalkiest pitcher on the slate there, but not stacking the Angels by any means myself. Last game of the slate, Andrew Painter, one of my favorite pitchers on the mound here. He ranks really good in our pitcher rankings. My boy Dougie Hauser on the other side, fellow Brewer great. This dude just always has the kind of arsenal that you think he would just get absolutely destroyed, and somehow just skates his way through 6-7 innings and just kind of limits the damage. Hope that's not the case here tonight, because I do like some of these Phillies bats, just because I'm looking for offense outside of Houston, really, in the Dodgers to play. Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper, Marsh, all of those guys have the platoon advantage. Hauser is trash against lefties, so I like all the lefties here. You get some good lefties. My least favorite lefty would be Bryson Stott at 3,600, but at that same position, again, direct pivot off of those Astros at a similar price point. What do you see here? Ballpark sucks, but again, ballpark and weather sucks on majority of the slate here outside of Coors Field. So what do you see here, Phillies and the Giants?
Yeah, I agree with you there. Wind is blowing out a little bit. I mean, this Phillies team, coming out of Coors, going into San Fran, we always don't like playing teams, but you have Trey Turner, you have Kyle Schwarber, Bryce Harper. They can go yard in any park. Adolis Garcia went yard yesterday in the Mile High City. So it would be Phillies for me. Don't necessarily love them. You said it, Adrian Hauser, ground ball pitcher. And my boy Tony Vitello should have never left Tennessee. Sad that he did. And he's got this Giants team just stuck in the mud right now. So I like what you say about Painter. I'm not playing these Giants due to weather, due to park, due to Vitello's got him messed up. So this game's more of a cross-off for me as well. Don't necessarily love it.
Yeah, like I said, I prefer the Philly side in this one over the Giants side. Giants bullpen hasn't been great to start the year either, which is pretty shocking. I expect that to kind of regress back to kind of the mean, but so far through the start of this year, their bullpen has been one of the worst in the slate in terms of whip. They're pretty taxed, right? 57, 50, 37, 31 from four of their guys in that bullpen from that weekend series there. So if the Phillies can figure out how to get back to altitude, right, out there in San Fran, maybe they hit one over the wall or two out there. So yeah, don't mind the Phillies. They're kind of my sneakier team on the slate that's really not getting any ownership. And I mean, at those price points, Kyle Schwarber, guys are going to click Ohtani. They're going to click those Astros, Jordan, things like that in that range. So probably one of the lower ownerships you're going to see on a guy like Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper on the season, but really tonight for sure. That's all 7 games. We talked pitching. We talked hitting. Ham, we got to do it like we always do. Your favorite pitching pairing, your favorite sneaky stack, and then a home run call or two. We've been pretty damn good last year on these home run calls, especially you. What do you see here tonight? Where are you going?
Yeah, we made a ton of money last year betting these home runs. I'm going to my guy, Austin Riley, to hit another bomb today. Love him against Soriano. So he's my home run call of the day. My favorite sneaky stack, I'm gonna go with the Jays. I didn't really love them to begin, but you talked me off this Robleski cat. Bunch of righties. So give me these Jays. That's my sneaky stack of the day. And then my favorite pairing would be Chris Sale and Casey Mize on DK. And then I like me some Joe Ryan on FanDuel. Sale's still my number one, but if you wanted to get different, I think Joe Ryan at 9,100 on FanDuel is a great price, but that's it for me.
Yeah, no, excellent breakdown there. For me, my favorite pitching combination is probably going to be Andrew Painter and Casey Mize. I really like what I can do with the lineup with those two. My favorite sneakier offenses are probably going to be the White Sox and the Rockies. I'm not really seeing a lot of ownership really going outside of maybe a player or two. For either of those teams, I really like the lefties in both of them. I think Murakami is a really good play, and that takes me to my home run call. I'm going to Murakami to hit a bomb for the White Sox in that 2-hole. Shout out to my guy G. Rising, who's on vacation. He loves himself a nice little 2-hole. I'm going to Murakami, and then I'm also going to another 2-hole for the Rockies. Mickey Moniak, so a little 2-squared, little action, little lefties. Mickey Moniak and Murakami for the White Sox, both going to hit a bomb. Again, appreciate everyone tuning in, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. If you're not a member yet, let me show you how you can get signed up with the Masters. If you want the Masters right here, $349. Join today. There is monthly options available as well, but you get Optimizer. You get everything you see there, which is you can't beat it for the whole PGA season. Obviously, the major season just kicking off this week. But really, join the nation. If you're not interested in PGA and everything else we have to offer, go to Single Sport. Go to MLB, and you get all of our MLB content with our SaberSim partner, Optimizer, for $29 a month. If you want the Optimizer, $49 a month. If you take that out to the whole year, cover you all summer long and October in the playoffs, it's $25 a month. We did not have this offering last year. So if you're looking for a home for the MLB season, appreciate you guys tuning in, watching here. But head over to shippingnation.com, click on the logo, and go to Join the Nation. And if you've never signed up at all, the best bet is the $19 you see here. You get access to everything we have to offer on the site, including an Optimizer for $19. Ham, any closing remarks for the people before we get out of here?
That's it. Good luck tonight in your contests, and let's get a shipper up top.
Absolutely. Well, good luck to everyone out there. Again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. Slate Plan is live. Cores will be going live shortly. I'll be in the Discord. But again, for Ham, I'm Nades. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here. Peace.